Hello everybody. It's been a while since I've been able to post anything, so I thought it'd be time for a new video. This is an epoxy project that I just recently finished, and while it's not a step-by-step tutorial, it does give you some idea of how these things typically go. I do have a project I'm currently working on that will have a more in-depth step-by-step process. But this is a fire department logo with multiple colors. It took me nearly a month to do this and the other logo they have that's coming up here. Each color is a different layer, and then each layer has to be matched perfectly with the last one to make sure things line up well. And this was done in the winter in the Pacific Northwest, so it took anywhere from 2.5 days to as long as 4 days for each layer to completely cure. I did take quite a while figuring out the exact steps, which color should go first, getting my alignment up. I actually made 3 different mock-up versions before I officially moved on to the next step. This is one of the trials actually. The color of the final is a little bit different, but you can get a sense of how the carves go and what each looks like at each step. This was actually the final version of the station house badge, carving in some of one of the colors or layers of the lettering. This is some detail work on the station badge that I actually had to do a couple of different times. I did it once and did it too shallow, and when I flattened it out, the detail kind of went away, so I had to redo it. There's one other mistake I had to fix later on, which I'll talk about, but these are kind of stressful, especially when you get this far into the project, because if you don't have things lined up well and you start carving, you've ruined the whole thing. This is just one layer of the epoxy, actually one of the final layers, to give you an idea of what it looks like. This is a flattening pass that I do by hand, or at least I have control rather than the machine doing it. On occasion, my machine has not followed my directions, which initially I wasn't sure why, but I eventually figured out there were some programming errors from the manufacturer in some firmware updates. I think that's been resolved at this point, but I still will do it myself just to make sure that the bit doesn't go diving into the project. This was actually the whole reason I got a CNC, or one of the many reasons, because I've done a number of epoxy projects in the past, and even small sections can take hours and hours of sanding to get down to the right levels, so this is a way to cut that process down quite a bit. And then of course you get sometimes all the way done, or you think all the way done, and you find out, well, you used the wrong color. So the customer was very happy with the product overall, but I had used white in one section instead of gray like it was supposed to be, so I had to go back and carve that out and redo it. And this was probably the scariest part of the whole project, simply because I had to make sure again that it was lined up perfectly, since everything was done. And if I was even a 0.5 millimeter off, I would ruin the project. So this was a bit nerve-wracking, but in the end it came out nicely. There were a couple other sections in here that colors didn't quite match, and the alignment was off slightly, which was really bugging the heck out of me. The customer still loved it, but it was really bugging me, so since I was recarving this section anyway, I decided to go ahead and fix those. And here's the final version. I cut out all those letters and the 2 badges and sent them off to them, and they painted the letters and put them on the table they already have. That picture is almost the completed project. All they have left to do is the final epoxy layer and it's good to go. So that's it. Like I said, not an in-depth step-by-step process. I plan to do that here coming up, but give you some idea of how this type of project goes and the steps involved. Hope you liked it. If you have a comment on anything or a question, feel free to post those below. Thanks and have a good day.